Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. Excuse the way I'm looking. I have been crying. As you guys can see, my eyes are swollen and they are red. Just going through a sad moment. Well, it's a sad time for me and my family. On not yesterday, on Thursday, my dog got sick. And he's a Yorkie, and he usually have these little episodes where he get a little sick with vomiting because he tries to eat everything, and diarrhea, which happens from time to time. So he got sick, and I did my usual thing. I try to give him water and stuff to try to replenish him from what he's throwing up and what he's losing. The next morning, he was still feeling sick, but we all got ready to go to work and go to school, and I just sat him out a lot of water and food, and I just made sure he was comfortable before I left. When my kids got back home, they video called me and let me see him, and I can tell he was looking a little pale. He was limp. He was laying down. He wasn't, when he walked, he was like stumbling. He wasn't his normal self. He had not eaten any of the food and had barely drunk any of the water that was left for him. I was planning on working overtime, but I ended up leaving work at exactly the time I got off, and I came home. On my way home, I called this emergency service, like vet, to see if I can get him in, but it was more close to my job than it was close to me, and I worked 30 minutes away, so I ended up finding something closer to my home, which was like 15 minutes away versus 30, so I ended up taking him there. They wouldn't see me there. It was like, I guess you had to have an appointment for a dog to be seen. So they gave me a pamphlet, and they gave me an address to like an emergency service, like an ER for pets, pretty much. So I hurried up and flew there. We got there. He was on the way there. He was having episodes, like he was having seizures. His stomach was moving up and down. He was breathing, but you could tell that it was something in his stomach that was moving up and down, like an organ. You definitely can tell it was an organ moving up and down. And he was struggling with breathing, and it was rough. He was also having these episodes where he was having a seizure. Like, he would get in his position and his head would get stuck over to one side, and he was having tremors. He was shaking. It was all bad. I was very distraught. But in my mind, I'm like, maybe he has an infection or something. I'm not thinking the worst of the worst. I'm thinking like maybe he has an infection or something. Something they can just keep him for a day, treat him, give him fluids because he hadn't been eating, just kind of revive him. We was there for about 15 to 20 minutes. It felt like an hour, but it was only like 15 to 20 minutes. I couldn't sit down. I couldn't be still. I just had to get up and kind of move around. So I was walking up and down the hallway. My son was in the room with the dog. I just told him to be gentle with him, lay him down. He laid him down on a little blanket and just kind of console him, let you know that you're there. Let him know that you're there for him. Just rub him and make him feel good. When the doctor came in, she didn't see him because he was laying on the bench with my son. She was like, "What's going on?" And she looked at him. I said, "My baby, something's wrong with my baby." She looked at him and she said, "What's going on?" I said, "He's not eating, he's not drinking. I'm not sure what's going on. He's throwing up. He's like stumbling over." So she was like, he's struggling breathing. She hurried up and rushed and took him to the back and put him on oxygen. So when she came back up there, she was talking to me, trying to let me know what's going on. I was asking about pricing because I have had this experience before with another pet that it was nothing this serious, but he wasn't using the bathroom, and it just was something that he had to have his urethra like flushed. Pretty much a kidney flush. But in this situation, it was a little bit different. I really didn't know what they were doing. I asked her to give him fluids, but she was like, are you sure? I think I want to run a few tests first. And she was like, we can do some labs and some x-rays, and we can kind of find out what's going on before we just give him fluids. My concern was is that I know he hadn't eaten or drinking for a day, which I know it wasn't even a full day because he had drunk. I had watched him drink the night before water, and we went to bed. So it hadn't been 24 hours, but it had been a couple of hours since he drunk, and that I saw. Like I said, we left water out for him. Maybe he had a little bit of it. I'm not sure. We can't really tell if it was a small amount. We really couldn't tell how much he had because we sent him out 2 things of water and food. He didn't touch the food at all. So I agreed to let her do labs to kind of see what's going on, because I was so concerned. I just didn't know where to even begin. So they went back there and took labs. And my concern was, since he hadn't drank anything in a while, was he going to be dehydrated? Was he too dehydrated to even get fluids? And she said we can still get fluids. We just have to do it from the jugular vein. And if you know what the jugular vein is in the neck. So I was scared immediately. But I let her do her job, and I let her take the labs. So she took the blood. She said she got 2 tubes of blood from him and kept him on the oxygen. So when she came in the room after testing his first thing of blood, she said it wouldn't register, which is concerning to her. The blood wouldn't register at all. So I instantly got into a panic, and she was like, but we have another tube we can test. She said we did get a little bit of the testing done. She said, but it just wouldn't read all of it. And she said, I could tell you right now that some of his levels are up. His white blood cells was up. Not elevated to where it was concerning, but it was a little elevated to where she couldn't quite tell what was going on with him. So she went ahead and tested the other blood and came back in like 20 minutes. At this point, I am antsy as I can't. I'm trying not to think about the worst, but it's like in my mind, me watching his body lay there when he was with us, and he was just not moving at all. And then when he was like he was having a small seizure or something. I couldn't help but think the worst. 1 second, y'all. So she came back in and told us that his kidney was failing. She said that his kidney was failing, and the number was real high. So I think the levels was between a good standing level was between 1 through, I'm not sure the labs are in my car, but his was, it was a low number. So it was like maybe 1 through 20 or 1 through 40. It wasn't like a super high number. His levels was 163. His kidney function. His creatinine was up, and his phosphorus, it wouldn't even read it. And so I wanted to know what could be done to help him. And what she said was, we can flush his kidneys, which would take about 2 days, but there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that it will work. And the hospitalization for 2 days will be about $500, and the x-ray, he would also need an x-ray, which also would be about $500. So I was looking at about $1,000, but like she said, it wasn't guaranteed. So at that point, I had to decide that I didn't want him to suffer anymore. I didn't want him to have to go through all that testing and to still, it's not guaranteed that he would live. And it was just a lot. So I decided to go ahead and put him down, which was one of the hardest things I have ever done. My son was with me. He was trying to be strong, but it was so hard, and I kind of blame myself because he didn't have the best diet. I kind of let him so he ate what he wanted to eat pretty much. Of course I gave him regular food, but he still ate. If I ate something, he ate it. I just kind of blame myself. I mean, we all did it, but I feel like I was trying to give him, I was trying to give him a good life because he was already old when I got him. So Shaq was 14 and his date of death was yesterday. And I had pretty much cried all day since it happened, all night. So this video is dedicated to Shaq. We love you, we miss you. You know I miss you. I could tell you knew that I loved you when you looked at me. I miss you. And I wish I would have made better choices as far as your diet and more doctor's visits, but I know you were happy when you were here, so just want to dedicate this video to him. I will attach some pictures at the end of this video so you guys can see my baby and know that he was loved.
His little tongue go like this, like.
Give it to him. Let it go. Shaq, what you got? What you got, Papa?